Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to yet another session of NET Set Guidance Lecture. Uh, Text is just a link on page until a reader comes across along and gives it life. The famous line said by Louisa Rosenblatt and on discussion on new criticism. She was a very famous new critic. So today we have Dr. Shiva Sharma with us to discuss on the topic new criticism. Dr. Shiva Sharma hails from Jaipur, Rajasthan, and she is presently serving as an assistant professor at L.R. Valia Arts and P.R. Mehta Commerce College, Bhavnagar. She has qualified the UGC-NET examination and earned her Ph.D. degree in English literature and with a dissertation on existentialism and campus fiction. Her area of specialization includes literary theory and criticism. Uh, she is passionate about teaching and learning, and she actively engages in sharing knowledge and guiding students, particularly aspirants, those who are preparing for UGC-NET examination. So, welcome again, ma'am. So she will be discussing on the topic new criticism. Now the stage is yours, ma'am. Welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone present here. I have with me my colleague, Dr. Deepa Parmar also. She was very curious that, ma'am, I also want to listen what new criticism is. Friends, before starting new criticism, I want to share something about my experience. I qualified my UGC-NET exam in 2020. The exam was in 2019 and result came in 2020. There was no one to guide me. So it was hit and trial method. I appeared in exam, I failed. Then I appeared, then I failed. And it was my fourth attempt that I qualified my NET exam. I feel very privileged here standing before all of you. And I am very humbled. I'm thankful to Professor Barrett, Dilip Barrett sir, that he gave opportunity to all of you and he gave opportunity to me share my knowledge and share my experience with you all. It was my lingering urge in my heart that okay, I qualified NET, I completed my PhD, but what about that experience that I am not able to share? I am not able to share my journey, that what were the mistakes I committed. So I am here to tell you that what are the things you do not have to do, right? So first of all, I think there were facilitators who already talked about what are the portions and what are the sections in NET exam, and what is the weightage of particular sections, how many questions are appearing in exam from particular section. Okay, so you cannot have a clear cut idea that okay, 15 questions are going to come in exam from Victorian era, 10 questions from theory and criticism. But yes, you can have an idea that how those questions will be framed, how those questions will be asked. For example, if I'm talking about Victorian novel, if you have analyzed the PYQs, previous year question papers, you have idea that questions are going to be asked from characters, from initial lines, from concluding lines, right? So when we talk about theory and criticism, what you have to focus upon, that you have to make a clear cut understanding of each and every concept, right? No matter from where you are reading, you are listening to a YouTube lecture, you are studying in class, you are studying from Peter Berry, M.H. Abraham, any book. But when I ask you what is structuralism, you have to be able to answer the question in 2 lines. Your understanding of structuralism, what structuralism is, what post structuralism is, right? So you should have your own understanding. Don't be entrapped in bombastic words or bookish language, because in net exam there will be questions and 4 options and you have to select. So you have to have a clear cut understanding of particular concept. Okay, so before starting new criticism, I have to tell you 3 terms: thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. Anyone? Do you have any idea about that? What is thesis, antithesis, and synthesis? There is an idea, and in opposition of that idea, another idea appears. And third idea, which is the mixture of both the ideas, is the synthesis. Okay, so before moving forward, we have to look backward also. Okay, I'm telling you because before starting new criticism, we have to just analyze that what was going on before new criticism came into being, right? So, do you have any idea what was there before new criticism? Have you heard romantic criticism, neoclassical criticism, right? What is romantic criticism? Yes, but there are particular traits of each and every criticism. So, what was romanticism was all about?
It is about specially writing on poetry and the features of a good poetry and the nature and characteristics of a poet. It is emphasized on particular those kind of topics.
Yes. Okay. So, when you are reading Wordsworth poetry, okay, I say that it is a poem by Wordsworth and you have to analyze it. What is the first thought which comes into your mind? Nature, obviously. Paganism, right? Any poem by Wordsworth or Coleridge. If I give you a poem by Coleridge, you will have idea of supernaturalism, right? Ancient Mariner, you must have read. Willing suspension of disbelief, the idea by Coleridge. Okay? So, new criticism, before moving towards, we have to just check that before new criticism came into being, the tools to analyze any particular work of art was not text itself, because new criticism is all about close reading. But before new criticism came into being, it was about author's biography, author's background, author's historical details, author's personal details. These were the key areas we were focusing upon to analyze any work of art. Suppose I have to analyze John Keats' poems. So, what I was looking for: John Keats' personal life, John Keats' background, the era John Keats was born in. Okay, what was John Keats' personal life? But when new criticism came into being, it says that you do not have to look about all these things, and what you have to focus upon: only text itself. Okay, so the key term what new criticism is focusing upon, you can write also, it is textual criticism. What it is? It is textual criticism. And second keyword is close reading. Close reading, right? Okay. So before moving towards the pioneer of new criticism, first I would like to it was a American movement in later 90s and 20s. So I.A. Richards, I want to focus upon I.A. Richards, but I.A. Richards was not American author or critic. He was British. But he becomes the center of new criticism. And why? Because he is the pioneer of practical criticism. So before knowing new criticism, we have to understand what practical criticism is. And I just want to share an incident in I.A. Richards' life, that when he was into Cambridge University, he circulated a poem without giving authors information and what this poem is all about. Without giving any information, he distributed that poem among students, and he asked those students to interpret that poem. And to his surprise, students misunderstood the poem because they were not having any detail. Right. So there was not a fixed interpretation or fixed meaning. When we talk about post-structuralism, there is no fixed meaning, but structuralism and post-structuralism, they later came into being. But before that, I.A. Richards was saying that when I am giving a particular poem among students, there should be some common idea, right? But there was not common idea. Everyone's interpretation was different. And with that, I.A. Richards came to conclusion that criticism should focus upon close reading, and critic should teach students or people that how you should read. Okay. So what is in the center of new criticism? New criticism says that it is not only about the biographical details, the background of the author, but text. And text is not only form, but when you read a poem, what do you read? Words. But you have to focus upon the tone also. You have to focus upon images also, symbols also, attitude of the author also, right? So we have to read a text in whole. Text is wholesome. You cannot differentiate between form and structure, and you cannot separate a poem on the behalf of form and structure. Structure is form and form is a structure. And there is a term, when we read criticism, there comes a term, heresy of paraphrase, right? It is if I am not wrong, it is a term by Kenneth Brooke, heresy of paraphrase. And what he is saying in that, heresy means contradiction or falsity. That you cannot paraphrase a poem. Suppose you have read Ancient Mariner. कभी कभी होता है ना कि हम एग्जाम में जाते हैं और अपनी फ्रेंड को बोलते हैं जल्दी से मुझे बस ये बता दे कि इस पोएम में क्या है. I'll write the summary and the poem is done. That should not be the way. Heresy of paraphrase means you cannot summarize a poem, because when you are reading a poem, you are reading in between the lines, right? You are reading where a poet takes pause, where poet continues, what are the symbols poet is using, what are the stressed and unstressed syllables he is using, So if I tell you that, okay, tell me what is in that particular song, you will say, no, I cannot summarize a song. You cannot summarize a song. It is just like poetry. Song is just like poetry. You cannot summarize a song. You will prefer to listen to it, to enjoy the rhythm, to enjoy the sweetness, to enjoy the melody of this song, right? So I.A. Richards he was not a pioneer, but we can say that he is in the center of new criticism, and he was British. He was not American. Second, what becomes the center of new criticism is he's not the pioneer of new criticism, but in the center, because he has influence upon new critics. He has influence upon new criticism, and that is T.S. Eliot. अब आप बोलोगे मैम कैसे? T.S. Eliot. Have you read Theory of Impersonality? Anyone? What is Theory of Impersonality? Yes, please. Want to answer? No? Okay. What Theory of Impersonality is, T.S. Eliot says that when a writer is writing something, writer's emotions and writer's personality should not reflect in that particular work. Sorry. So writer's writing is not about his emotion, but escape. He used these lines. His escape from his personality, and he uses a word catalyst. Catalyst. Okay, he says that writer's mind is like a catalyst. Catalyst, what does catalyst do? It is a scientific word. What is it? Yes. So poet's mind should work like a catalyst. It would be involved in the performance, but it in itself would be unaffected. Okay? So poet's personality should never reflect in a work of art. So न्यू क्रिटिसिज्म का जो एक एसेंस है वो हमारा टीएस एलियट से ही आ रहा है, राइट? नेक्स्ट जो हमारे पाइनियर हैं न्यू क्रिटिसिज्म के, दैट इज एलन टेट. यू कैन राइट एलन टेट. And he has a famous work, Tension in Poetry. He talks about tension in poetry. Tension in Poetry, 1938. Okay, so what Alan Tate says? Alan Tate says that a work is a mixture of denotative and connotative meaning. Do you understand what is denotative and connotative meaning? What is denotation and what is connotation? That is inductive and deductive. Okay, I give you an example and you will understand. Suppose I say home, Home, home. What is home? That is a place where we live. It is a building. Oh, there is a difference between house and home. And when we say house, that is different. And when we say home, that is different. What is home? Home is a place where we live with our family. Simple interpretation. But when I say that you make me feel like home, what does it mean? Home can be a connotation of warmth, love, belongingness. safe place, security. So denotative is the literal meaning. When what do you find in dictionary, or when you Google home, you will find denotative meaning. But connotation is about the interpretative meaning. And when we read and when we study Indian philosophy, हम बात करते हैं व्यंजना, लक्षणा और व्यंजना. पढ़ा है आपने? So what is that? Suggestive meaning. कि वो वर्ड और क्या क्या सजेस्ट कर रहा है. ठीक है? So in Indian philosophy also we have that. So Alan Tate says that a poetry is a mixture, a tension between denotative meaning and connotative meaning. And a writer has to make a balance between those, denotation and connotation. Okay. Next, which I would like to focus upon is Wimsatt and Beardsley. आपने नाम सुना होगा, W.K. Wimsatt and Beardsley, that talk about affective fallacy and intentional fallacy. Do you have idea? Anyone? Yes, please.
Yeah, where we are doing mistake deliberately while interpreting the author. So it is called intention fallacy.
Yes.
Okay,
What is affective?
that's I don't.
Okay. So we are studying new criticism. We have to just keep this thing in mind that we do not have to involve any emotions, any historical background, any personal background of the author in that when we are analyzing a work. Right? Fallacy means mistake. Right? Fallacy means mistake. So when we are interpreting and criticizing a work with the author's intention, suppose I am an author, I am writing a work, and my intention is very clear. I want to provoke you. Okay. And the reason may be anything. And when you are trying to analyze a work, keeping this thing in mind that, okay, this is author's intention, there will be a fallacy. You are committing a mistake. You do not have to bother about the author's intention. You do not have to bother about what author's intention is. What you have to bother about, what is your interpretation? What you are getting from the words you having on the page. You have to interpret that particular piece of writing, the particular piece of art according to your interpretation, your ideas. And affective fallacy is, then I will give you a beautiful example. That what author and how an author's work is affecting us. For example, recently there was a movie, Sayyara. Right? And I and my friend Dr. Deepa Parmar went to watch the movie because everyone was saying that it is making people vulnerable. So we went to see and to analyze that what is that in that movie. ऐसा क्या है? देख के तो आते हैं. So when you are affecting, you are getting affected by someone's reaction on that particular idea, and you are getting affected by author's ideas, you are again making mistake. You do not have to get affected by intention of the author. You do not have to affected by interpretation of others. When a text is before you, it is all yours. It belongs to you. You are the only one who will interpret the text. You will do close reading and you will get the meaning out of that. You will not paraphrase it. You will not look for the background of the author. You will not Google the details of the author. Suppose I am reading Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni's The Palace of Illusion. Okay. Before ordering that particular book, I am on Google to search what was the personal life of Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni. Before analyzing the works of Kamala Das, I am searching what was the personal life of Kamala Das. According to new critics, this is the wrong way to interpret the text. You just have to focus upon the text which is before you. You have to read in between the lines. If you are reading poetry, you have to make wholesome reading. You have to focus upon the rhythm also, the images also, the symbols also. Do you know ellipsis? Ellipsis, the three dots. When we are reading poetry, some poets use three dots. And in Virginia Woolf's works also, there is a random use of ellipsis. What is that? Because it is about Virginia Woolf's works are about what is that term? Stream of consciousness. Okay, what is a stream of consciousness? That there is not a linear way of thinking. You are thinking in all the directions. Suppose I am writing a novel, I am writing my campus life, then I switch to my childhood trauma, then I came back and then I am writing about what my children are doing. Then I switched back in my college life. There is not a linear way. And in that unlinear way, Virginia Woolf uses ellipsis, three dots. Then you have to, ellipsis is all about the broken thought. Then you have to interpret that what Virginia Woolf in this particular line is imagining. What her next thought might be. Right? So you have to interpret the ellipsis also. A single dot you should not spare. From the title to concluding line, from hyphen to comma to ellipsis, you have to interpret all those things. That is called wholesome reading, right? And this is the only thing new critics want. They do not want us to go here and there. They are saying you just be here, focus on the reading and get meaning out of that. Next, so that was affective and intentional fallacy. Next, the pioneer of new criticism, which I am going to focus upon, is J.C. Ransom, John Crow Ransom. Okay, and he is also known as the father of new criticism. Right, these are the small details. He is also known as the father of new criticism, and he wrote a book, New Criticism 1941, and from there only the word new criticism arises. There were some students also of John Crow Ransom, and that was the question also in NET exam, that among the following, who were the students of John Crow Ransom. So one was Kenneth Brook, and second was Robert Penn Warren. John Crow Ransom argues that literature should not be read as biography, as history. Literature should be read for the sake of literariness. Okay? And his question was, what makes literature literary? ऐसा क्या है जो लिटरेचर को लिटरेरी बनाता है? So for him, the poem is an aesthetic object complete in itself. You can write aesthetic. He sees the work of art as aesthetic object complete in itself. Again, he is saying that a piece of work, literary piece of work, should be read as wholesome. We have to focus upon form also. We have to make close reading. We have to analyze the images also. Okay, and he differentiate between scholarship and criticism. You can write. नेट कुछ भी पूछ सकता है. He makes difference between scholarship and criticism. He says that scholars studies history, biography, and external context, but criticism studies the poem as a poem. Right. Next is in the line of new critics. Next is R.P. Blackmore. Blackmur. Blackmore. His works are Double Agent and Language as Gesture. Double Agent 1935 and Language as Gesture 1952. Blackmore says that a poem is not an ordinary communication. It is different because literariness is all about, it is not about what you say, but it is about how you say it. Right? So Blackmore is focusing upon charged language. There was that was also a question. Who is the critique who talked about charged language? And what is charged language? Literary language. When Blackmore is saying charged language, he is talking about literary language. CHARGED, charged language. Right? Literature is language. You can write. Literature is language charged with meaning to the utmost possible degree. So Blackmore is saying where ordinary language talks about simple ideas, facts, information, charged language is talking about the layers of meaning, because there is mixture of denotation, and connotation. There is complexity. Literature is never easy. You have to unlayer the meaning because it is the, as Alan Tate is also saying, it is a mixture of tension in poetry, right? Tension in poetry. It is a mixture of denotation and connotation. So it is a very easy concept, but not easy also. We have to first we have to keep this thing in mind, that what are the circumstances that forced critique to come with this idea, new criticism. Because before new criticism, what critics were using to interpret the text was biographical details, that is known as biographical criticism. Okay. Ethical values, you have to use ethics, whether this writer is saying a right thing or wrong thing. So you have to judge a text or a poetry on the basis of ethics. New critics denied it. New critics said that this should not be the basis of analysis. This should not be the basis of criticism. Okay, you have to criticize the text or poetry for the sake of poetry only, because it is textual analysis. You are analyzing a text, you are not analyzing a poet, you are analyzing a poetry. So biographical details, extra informations should not be at the center. What should be at the center? Only text. So whenever you see the word close reading, textual analysis, ontological interpretation of the text, text in itself, text for itself, that is all about new criticism. Okay. So I would like to suggest that you just have to mind map the things. Okay. I delivered the lecture, but what you have to focus upon, you have to pick, because it is objective exam. Questions are objective. So you have to keep keywords in your mind and you have to analyze them. I was expecting uh, a question from you, but sadly, that question is not coming. Or maybe perhaps you haven't read it. Formalism. You could ask, ma'am, formalism is all about form. Then why it is not related to new criticism? Because new critics are also focusing upon the form. What is the difference between formalism and new criticism? Have you read formalism? Formalism is about form. They are only focusing upon the forms. But what new critics are doing, they are analyzing a text wholesomely. They are not only focusing upon the form of the text, they are also retrieving the meaning with keeping meaning with structure and essence. What is the structure of the of particular poetry and what is essence? So it is a combination of both. But formalism is about only, it is more mathematical. You only have to focus upon forms of the poetry. So slightly, there is a slight difference between new criticism and formalism. So in this way, you have to remember the things. Right? Any question you want to ask? Yes.
Ma'am, I'm not asking this question as a net aspirant, but as a reader. As you talk about that, new critics talk about they not focus on the intention of author, right? They only focus that what is the text is.
Yes.
So, as a reader, how do we consider that do not focus on author, right?
Mm-hmm.
Author or poet. Also, the concept of Rollabath is just author is dead.
Mm-hmm.
How do we do it? If we talk about the romantic poetries, the first version of lyrical ballad, they travel to write that, right? So we'll have to know about that they travel and how they write the poetry. Even, for example, uh, Wordsworth write poetry Lucy for his daughter
Mm-hmm.
who's died.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to know about that, that concept that he write that poetry for his daughter.
This is your question.
Yes.
That's why my very first line before starting the lecture was that do you know about thesis, antithesis, and synthesis? Because every idea is challenging the previous idea. And again, an idea is coming which is challenging this idea. So the third idea, which is challenging both, maybe the mixture of both. That's why it is synthesis. और इसीलिए we have after new criticism structuralism, and then post structuralists are coming and they are questioning structuralists. Structuralists are saying, okay, there are structures. What Bath is doing? He's talking about structures. But then post structuralists are coming. They are saying, no, there is no unified meaning. There is not a single entity known as text. Meaning is outside the text. Meaning is not there. Have you got your answer? Anyone else? So I just, because this was my first lecture, and once I was a net aspirant, I would just like to suggest you that whatever you are reading, prepare mind maps. Okay? पहले भी मैंने बोला था, again I am repeating that you should have your understanding. At the end of the session, when I am asking, okay, what is your interpretation of new criticism? The answer should be of your own. That should be your understanding, not mine. Because I know what is new criticism is. But you have to attempt the questions. So until or unless you do not have a clear cut understanding, you do not have you do not know the difference between new criticism and formalism, when new criticism came, why was there need of new criticism, and in against of new criticism, what are the theories which came into being. You have to question yourself only. Right? Thank you so much. It was nice talking to you all, and I hope that would you like to listen to me again? So I hope that I get the chance to come to your class again, and I would love to share my knowledge, and I would love to share the experience that what are the mistakes I have made, and I do not want you to make the same mistakes. Okay, so we can talk about those mistakes also. That everyone is talking about what you should do for preparation, what you should read, but I want to let you know that what you should not read for this exam. Because you can read a single book for 3 months, 4 months. Those bulky books. William Geelong. So you should not be entrapped while preparing for this exam. You should have a clear cut understanding. Okay, we have to analyze PYQs to this extent. We have to read about British literature to this extent. Okay, from postmodern literatures, in-depth questions are not being asked. So we do not need to go in the summary. We just have to remember the author and the titles. So these are the minute details, things which I would love to talk about. Thank you so much once again.
So first of all, thank you so much, ma'am, for your guidance. And yes, of course, we would like to listen to you again. Now we have feedbacks from learners. First of all, I would like to Niti Pandya for her feedback. Hello, ma'am. Thank you for a valuable session. I personally marked that how you calmly and into the easy way you taught us the new criticism. That is the most perfect way for me, of course. And there are points that how you taught us that how new criticism teach us not to look into the biographical way, but into the textual way. And we are all on that basic that we first of all we learn about the historical context and biography of the author and all, and after we come to the work of that artist, particular artist, and how to not to do that, what is that new criticism taught us. Thank you, ma'am, for your valuable guidance. You engage us throughout the session. Thank you. Thank you so much, Niti. Now I would like to invite Sithiba Gohil for her feedback.
Ma'am, your lecture on new criticism was clear and insightful. The focus on close reading, and you also said that focus should be on text, which was true. And I would like to say that illustrative examples which you taught, which is useful also. And overall, it was informative and engaging session. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sithiba. If anyone wants to give feedback, then take on.
Hello, good evening, all of you. I'm an independent scholar here that I'm pursuing my doctorate from Central University of Gujarat. Personally, criticism was when I was in my bachelor days, it was monster to me. Then slowly I get the idea that as you talk about in the beginning of your session, triangle about thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. At that time, I was thinking about another triangle was critic, CRITIC. Another critic, CRITICQUE. The third one element was a critical. I was facing an issue about this understanding of this another triangle, which I was thinking about in my first RSC. When I was going to finalize my title of my research, I put it as a critical analysis of women characters in Amish Tripathi's novels. So one of the expert there was, and he was like, why you have used critical rather than critic, CRITICQUE. Okay, so I was not having the idea of difference between these terms. So I just get a break to think about it, and I have thought that I have just got the idea that what is critic and critical. So as you said, thesis, antithesis, and a synthesis. So thesis is, as you say, that central idea. Antithesis is something like paradox. Synthesis is when you think about these ideas which you put together in antithesis in the complex manner, right? So in that in those days I was confused about my title. That's why maybe I was not able to finalize it. But at that time my supervisor or HOD, uh, he told me that when you are doing something as under the doctorate degree, you are yourself is a critic. Then why you should replace your critical word with critique, critic? Because you will discuss in your thesis that what is strength and what is weaknesses of your research. You are not praising Amish Tripathi himself or his works. So I thought that's true. Because being critic, you should be discuss both of the sides. So I then I decided to replace it, because as a scholar we have to think if someone is suggesting us something, then we have to think by ourselves that is it going in that perspective or not. So by the time I get to know what is the deep understanding of criticism, critical analysis uh, in this university, or even when I see the question papers, there are very common questions like do critical analysis of these themes and all these typical kind of questions. So at that time, I didn't know what is critical analysis. After I got into PhD, I stepped in into it, and then I came to know what is actual critical analysis. What I was doing in my answer was that mug up things. What is the theme? What is the characters? What is the central idea of whichever the work? So my journey with criticism is like from the monster to my hero, because right now I am dealing with the kind of topic that I have to be so much critic rather than a scholar. So thank you so much, it was so nice. Personally, you have I committed an error, that induction, deduction, and these things. So yes, it was so smooth in a flow that you have built up the entire building of criticism in our mind, and with factual details, which was very useful to us. And yes, we'll get chance, then we'll like to listen to you again. Thank you.
So now I would like to invite Kruti Vyas for her vote of thanks.
Uh, Hello everyone. I sincerely thank you, ma'am, Siva ma'am, for your such a wonderful session with us, and I also very curious know about more in detail about new criticism and its aspect, because in my bachelor time I want to more learn about new criticism, but that's time uh, so. I'm also grateful, ma'am, for your insightful lecture on new criticism, which enrich our understanding. And once again, thank you so much, ma'am, for your valuable time and knowledge. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Kruti. Now I would like to invite Sagar to give token of gratitude to ma'am. So, ma'am, please come. So once again, thank you so much. Thank you so much who are joining us, and we are concluding this session here.